Hello, hello, and welcome, dear listeners, to an electrifying and impactful special series that dives deep into the heart of a global crisis that calls for our immediate attention: plastic pollution. I'm Kirpa Grewal, your host and fellow warrior in the battle against plastic's devastating grip on our planet. As a board member and co-chair of the Volunteerism Committee at WCS, I am committed to unraveling the complexities of plastic pollution and finding sustainable solutions. Our journey through this series will be nothing short of enlightening as we bring you face to face with remarkable individuals who have dedicated their lives to combating this escalating crisis. Their stories, insights, and unwavering passion will inspire you to join the movement for a cleaner, greener future. I won't be navigating this expedition alone. I am joined by two phenomenal advocates who are leading the charge in the fight against plastic pollution. First, a visionary whose determination sparked a global movement, Rebecca Prince-Ruiz, founder and executive director of Plastic Free Foundation. Her tireless efforts have ignited countless minds to rethink their plastic consumption and take decisive actions to reduce their plastic footprint. And secondly, a trailblazer who has turned a vision into reality, Manuel Maqueda, a co-founder and CEO of Super Less Plastic. His innovative strategies are reshaping the way we perceive and use plastic, guiding us towards a world where plastic is no longer synonymous with pollution. Together with our collective knowledge, experiences, and the fire that burns within each of us, we will delve into the heart of plastic pollution crisis, exploring its far-reaching impacts, shedding light on groundbreaking solutions, and most importantly, motivating you to become a force for positive change. So buckle up, listeners, as we embark on a transformative journey of awareness, action, and advocacy. Together, we will pave the way for a future where plastic pollution is nothing but a memory and a beauty of our planet is preserved for generations to come. Stay tuned for an eye-opening adventure that starts right now. Hello, Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'd love to start off by understanding, the events that led up to you starting the Plastic Free July movement.
So I started Plastic Free July back in 2011 when I visited my local recycling facility and was overwhelmed by the volume of waste we produce and understanding the energy intensive process to sort it into different material types and transport it for recycling. And now look, whilst of course recycling is important, I knew that the best thing that I could do to reduce my personal footprint was actually reduce the amount of waste that I produced. And so I decided that for that month, with the help of some colleagues in the very remote city of Perth in Western Australia, that we would just try and give it a go the following month to reduce not all plastics, but just avoid single-use plastic. And the challenge has grown from there. At that time, single-use wasn't a word, and plastic pollution wasn't on the radar as it is today.
Can you share with us the 2023 numbers of countries and participants that have pledged to support to remove plastic from their waste streams?
Now, Plastic Free July is a global movement. We're still crunching the numbers for 2023, but we know that last year 140 million people from over 190 countries around the world took part. Some people tried it for a day, some a week, some the whole month. But the great thing is that we know that the majority of participants, so almost 90% of people, make one or more changes that become habits or a way of life. And this is about turning off the tap. It's about reducing plastics at the source and avoiding waste, not cleaning up, not mopping the floor, actually about reducing our consumption.
Can you give us one or two stories of the most profound changes to single-use plastic usage that are a result of Plastic Free July?
I think some of the most profound changes that I've seen through Plastic Free July is when we have a groundswell of community change So when people start making changes like bringing their own bags, or local governments implement bans, or groups, community groups, make reusable produce bags or shopping bags to give away at local markets. Some local stores start to bring in changes, offering cardboard boxes or encouraging people to remember their bags. What we've seen, and I'll share as an Australian example, we've seen that state by state around the country, every state government has now banned lightweight plastic bags, and I believe that we're the first continent to do that. So it's really this power of small changes in people's lives that change communities, they change attitudes, and business and government come on board. Some of the other profound changes that we see is when corporates get on board. One of the initiatives we've done this year is engaging business leaders and elected officials to refuse single-use coffee cups. We know even the paper cups are lined with plastic and have plastic lids. And through this pledge initiative, where we're inviting politicians and CEOs and business leaders to take part, what we're really seeing is that inspires their constituents or staff. So we've had a lot of global corporates take part in that, and recently one of the CEOs who shared it was Ben Page, who's the CEO of Ipsos, pledged to avoid single-use coffee cups. And now we see posts on LinkedIn of his staff all around the world pledging to avoid single-use coffee cups and switching to reuse.
This year, the pledge is for everyone to make change, even small change, to their consumption of single-use plastics. Can you share some of the benefits of small change globally? What are some of the most obvious and easily achieved areas of change?
The pledge is around, and our campaign theme this year was small steps add up to make a big difference. And that's what we see with lots of people making small changes at the same time. It adds up to make a difference. So we know that last year participants together avoided 300 million kilos of plastic as part of 2.6 billion kilos of overall waste and recycling in their homes. So it really is a very powerful campaign that is not about raising awareness, it's actually about the doing.
Please share with the membership how you can individually and through their business activities support the Plastic Free July movement this year, next year, and beyond.
So the best way to support Plastic Free July and this global movement to end plastic waste is take a small step, whether that's making a switch to a reusable product in your own life or doing something in your workplace. Look at the plastics that are in your bin, that are used in your home or in your organisation, and choose one or two things to tackle. Invite others to take part. We've got some great resources to hold a plastic-free morning tea as a way of starting conversations, sharing your concern and getting others involved. And together, we can all make a big difference.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, for your time. We are so happy that we had the opportunity to discuss these very, very pressing issues, and we appreciate your wisdom and knowledge. Thank you so much. We have Manuel here, co-founder and CEO of Super Less Plastic NGO. Manuel, can you define a bit about the problem that is created in our take, make, waste economy, particularly as it relates to plastic pollution and plastic waste?
Our linear economy is a take, make, waste economy, as we know. In fact, more than 90% of everything that is made in 1 year in our economy is wasted at the end of the year. It's left the economy to become waste, which is mind-boggling. Now, when we take this model, this linear model, and overlay plastics, single-use plastics on top of it, and in fact, 40% of all plastics made every year are destined to become waste. 40% is fast-track trash, packaging, etc. We have a big problem. Why? Because plastic is a material that the planet cannot digest. Those large polymers are too big for bacteria, too big for life to biodegrade. So plastic does not biodegrade. It lasts hundreds and hundreds of years in the environment. And B, it doesn't break down, but it breaks up into smaller and smaller particles that become like a plague. They pollute the air we breathe, the water we drink. They're in soil, they're going up the roots, they're inside of our tissues, these micro and nanoplastics that are so pervasive. So really bad idea to use a material so powerful and useful and cheap as plastic, which is powerful technology, for single-use items. Just not very smart for a civilization to do that. But that's precisely what we've done, and that explains the big problem that we have.
You have a long history as a plastic pollution advocate. Can you share what led you to your work in this arena?
I have been working in plastic pollution advocacy, education, remediation since 2008. And that's really early. Back then, it was an unknown issue. If you Google plastic pollution back in 2008, 2009, 2010, it was nothing. It was a lot of information about pollution in general, like smokestacks and pollution going into rivers, and then a lot of information on plastics. But the two things together didn't exist. And when I first learned about this problem, and I learned about it from Captain Charles Moore, who had discovered the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, the big patch of microplastics and larger pieces of plastics floating in the Pacific, it just struck me that something so big was hidden in plain sight. And we didn't even have the vocabulary or the images to understand this problem. It was also framed all wrong. It was framed as a problem of disposal, waste management. Like we humans were not putting things in the right bin or not clean enough. Nobody was talking about the massive failure of design that happens when you take a material that the planet cannot digest and that breaks up into billions of microplastics and use it to make disposable items. Use it to make things that are designed to become trash. For me, it was so clear and such a big thing that I said, well, we need to do something about this. So I first gathered a group of activists, the main people that are working on this, and we gathered at the Google headquarters, and we had this meeting. And from that came an organization called Plastic Pollution Coalition, also a trip to Midway Atoll, where we started filming with Chris Jordan, the film Albatross, that became just an iconic visual piece. So that's how I got started. It was this sheer passion. And then, of course, once I traveled to Midway and I saw the baby birds being fed plastic instead of food by their parents, it's this island where lots of seabirds are nesting, that broke my heart. And it was such a powerful metaphor for what happens to us. Because we also have those chemicals, plastic chemicals in our bodies. We also have the microplastics and nanoplastics in our bodies. And that was just such a powerful catalyst of action for me.
Can you share with the membership a few things about our global love and use of single-use plastics that is particularly concerning for you?
We talk about plastics and single-use plastics sometimes as an environmental problem. And rightly so, it's a big environmental mess. But I don't think enough people realize that we ourselves are suffering contamination, pollution from plastics indirectly. Humans. It's a huge human health issue. And I wish more people talked about this. And there was a big motivator, and still today is a big motivator of my own work. Because I'm a father, and I just value health very much, health of humans, in addition to health of living systems. Plastics are a trade secret. the actual ingredients of plastics are unknown. We need close to 10,000 additives to give plastics all these wonderful qualities that they have. They can be hard, they can be soft, they can be stretchy, rigid, colorful. All this is achieved with additives, and out of these 10,000 chemical additives, about 2,000 of them are pretty dangerous for human health. And there's no list of ingredients. So when we choose a material whose ingredients are not known to us and potentially toxic, and we put our food and our drink in that material, all of us get contaminated. And if we do a random blood test of people, practically everybody, including newborns, are contaminated with toxic chemicals from plastic. So I think more people should be talking about this and concerned about this. Another element of plastic that is not often talked about is that plastic bears a toxicity throughout the entire chain of production. The communities that live near plastic factories and also near the factories where those additives are made are suffering a great deal as well from toxicity and cancer rates. Also, the connection with climate change and fossil fuels. Most plastics are made from fossil fuels. And as fossil fuels become less and less important for energy production, those companies that produce fossil fuels and petrochemicals have a greater interest in producing more and more plastic. So these are some important twists in the story of plastics and humans that I don't think people are paying enough attention and I think are really important.
Can you tell us a bit about your company's Super certification and why companies might consider participating?
For the last few years, I've been working for Super. It's a nonprofit I created with my co-founders. Super stands for Single-Use Plastic Elimination or Reduction. And it's a nonprofit that enables businesses to eliminate single-use plastics. Because more and more business, fortunately, want to do the right thing and eliminate single-use plastics. But sometimes they are at a loss on how to do this. So we made it actionable and easy through footprinting methodologies, through elimination methodologies, and a tier certification program. We launched a few years ago in the office space sector. We are preparing also a launch in the hotel sector pretty soon. And any company interested can reach us through our website, super.ngo, and find out more and get in touch. And it's actionable, is demanding, but it's totally doable. It's very engaging for employees and for clients, and it's really impactful and important.
For those in our membership who feel overwhelmed by this conversation and the sheer vastness of the problem, can you share with us a reason to be hopeful as we take on this conversation?
The reality about plastic pollution and our collective addiction to plastics is sometimes completely overwhelming, and I understand that. And tackling it, even at a personal level, sometimes seems overwhelming as well. And my advice here would be to go step by step. Actually, what makes me hopeful is to realize that some of the easiest to eliminate single-use plastics are the most common, and we can have the greatest impact precisely where it's the easiest, like eating and drinking. We don't need bottled water. We don't need all this food wrapped in plastic. We can easily avoid a lot of the plastics for food and drink. A lot of people feel overwhelmed because we tend to focus on those really hard plastics to eliminate, like certain cosmetics or cleaning products or medical products, but actually their footprint is a lot smaller. And if we just focus on those that we can eliminate and we start taking those steps, grocery bags, for instance, we don't need plastic shopping bags, we don't need those. Produce bags, we don't need those. Bottled water, we don't need it. And put a filter in your house, bring your own bottle, etc. Those easy changes, bring your own cup, etc. That's where the biggest footprint is. And then another good advice is be compassionate. We need to be very compassionate first with ourselves, because we know we all using plastic some more than others, but we all use it or we used it. And we're all in the journey, different stages of the journey. And then for others, as we are surrounded by people who may not know, and we have to be really compassionate in communicating with them, in having them come on board with us, and avoid blaming and avoid shaming and avoid overwhelm that comes with that too. So those are my advice, pieces of advice for people.
Thank you so much, Manuel. We really appreciate your time, wisdom, and passion on this topic. And we hope to continue the conversation of plastic-free movement year-round. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening and chiming in. Until next time, thank you so much.